Hello everybody and welcome to this stream. It's JRPG Saturday. It's Saturday morning and yes, we do a stream of a JRPG each week. This week I've decided we're going to start playing an Atelier game because I love Atelier and we haven't actually done any streams of it just yet. So I've chosen Atelier Firis, which is perhaps one of the lesser known Atelier games. I think it's one of the ones that a lot of people haven't played. It hasn't actually made its way to Nintendo Switch, for example, and it hasn't actually been re-released since it was originally released. So, yeah, it's just one of those ones that hasn't had a second run just yet. So that's why I'm going to give this one a go. I actually really love it. I think it's a delightful little game. Firis is a great character, and I hope you can join and enjoy it along with me. So we'll give people a moment or two to log in and jump on the stream if they're keen, and then we'll get started. Okay, well, hopefully some people jump on at some point. It is a Saturday morning, and I think that this is actually a bad time to broadcast games. Saturday morning in Australia, people don't seem to be around much, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that we won't try and find a better time. I'm still new to this whole streaming thing anyway, so I'm still experimenting with the best times to run these things, and that's all good. We'll get started anyway. We'll start a new game, I think, just so you can all see where it all starts, where Firis' story begins. And yeah, there's an opening cutscene, and we'll start talking about it once we get through that. Hello, Britta. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I really love Firis. She's a delight. She's a real delight. So very simple setup there. Firis is, or has grown up in this kind of underground world in which she yearns to see the outside, but she's kind of barred from doing so. We don't really know why, of course, at this stage. But yeah, it's a very, I guess, traditional fantasy setup. It's a little bit of a literal one where the character wants to explore the world and find her place in it, but she's prevented from doing so. It's kind of a very coming of age theme that has been turned into a literal barrier to her doing so at this stage. So yeah, it's quite simple, very effective startup. I've got to say, I think that right from the start, you are, along with Firis, you want to explore the world and you want to see beyond the boundaries of the town. But first, we need to actually explore the town and get to know some of the people in it. So, Firis seems to have some kind of special ability to sniff out something, some kind of ore or something, and that's the job we've been tasked with doing. It's a very simple start, of course. We'll zoom in so we can have a better look. And yeah, here we go. Very typical Atelier stuff. Just collect things to start with. So, one of the things, if you haven't played too many Atelier games, I'll probably talk through a couple of things while we play along, to explain, I guess, the thematic role of these games, or the kind of the way they behave. One of the things that's quite common to the Atelier games is the sense of community, and that your character, who does go through this coming of age experience, and that's universal to all the Atelier games really, they all have this coming of age experience. Your character comes to terms with her role in the community and her role in broader life as well as finding her place in the world. So there's a couple of different processes she goes through, but as part of that, helping the community is a very important thing which really speaks to, I guess, the Japanese mindset as well. They're a very community-orientated people, and this game kind of reflects that sensibility, which is a pretty sharp contrast to another game I've been playing this week, which is The Last of Us. I can talk about it now that embargo has lifted. It's quite the opposite. It's very individualistic in its tone. It is kind of a coming-of-age thing in a way itself. You do play as a very young character who, I guess, finds something about herself, or a couple of the young characters, and they find something about themselves, I guess, in their quest. But it is very individual. You act on what you want without necessarily concern for the community, whereas the Atelier games are about acting in support of not just yourself but the people around you as well. So yeah, I guess that's the one time you'll probably hear a comparison between Atelier and The Last of Us, but it is what it is, and that's what I've done.
もっと先の予定だったけど、狩りの調子が良くって荷物を持ちきれなくなったから戻ってきたの。大量だったんだ。じゃあしばらくご飯が豪華になるね。フィリスちゃんが好きなウサギさんもたくさん取ってきたからどんどん食べてちょうだいね。やったー、リアネ大好きで、それはそれとして、お外はどうだったでしょ。外から帰ってくるといつもそれなんだから。それでどうだったの？何かすごいものあった？ちょっと待った。外のことより私のお仕事が先。お話はその後ゆっくりしてあげるからね。はーい。じゃあ私もついてくね。お仕事が終わったらすぐに聞かせてもらうから。はいはい、分かってるわ。
Okay, so now we've met one of the extended cast, one of Firis's buddies, one of the characters that's actually allowed outside of the town, and of course because she can go outside, Firis is very keen to learn everything she can from her, and yeah.
Oh.
As you can see, it's not the most inspiring town. I mean, this game obviously has a very simple but gorgeous aesthetic, but the developers wanted people to get a sense that this place was pretty drab and dark and dank place to live and grow up. So they've kept the art quite simple, but they have used colour through the crystals and things just to highlight that this is that this is a pretty game, that what you've got to look forward to outside of this world is something bright and colourful, because of course as an Atelier game that's exactly what you've got to look forward to. Howdy, half deaf. Welcome to the stream and thank you for joining us. I don't know if you've played an Atelier game before, if you've I can't remember you being on a stream beforehand, in which case I apologise. Maybe you are a big Atelier fan, which is great. Great to have you here.
これでしばらく食料と衣類には困らないかと。
そうかそうか。それはご苦労じゃったな。
いえ、取ったものは扉の脇に置いておきましたので、後ほど回収をお願いします。
心得た。ゆっくり体を休めるといいぞ。
お待たせ。あら、どうしたの？お仕事してるリアね、かっこいいなって。
Well, I hope I can encourage you to give one of these a go then, because I absolutely love Atelier. I've played all of them since I discovered the series, which was Atelier Rorona back on the PlayStation 3, and I love each and every one of them for one reason or another. I think this is the series that I have consistently given top marks to, 5 out of 5 stars on in my reviews and whatever. I think even the Hatsune Miku games don't have that distinction. But yeah, they're all very light-hearted, very charming, very lovely, good-spirited games, and yeah, I certainly like to do what I can to encourage people to play them when I get the chance to.
じゃあ、普段の私はかっこよくないってこと？そんなひどいこと言う子には外のお話してあげない。違うの、そういう意味で言ったんじゃなくて。冗談よ。お仕事も終わったし、約束通り話してあげる。からかわないでよ。ごめんごめん。フィリスちゃんが可愛くてついね。
I am sure at some point I'll remember you. I have a pretty good memory for people that I've chatted to via the site over the years, so yeah, I'll definitely do my best to rack my brains. But thank you again for joining the stream and rediscovering DDNet, I guess. Hopefully we can chat plenty going forwards.
さて、何から話そうかしら。そうね。この間はお天気が良くて青空が一面に広がってたんだけど。あら、もうこんな時間？ちょっと話しすぎちゃったわね。やっぱりお外ってすごいんだ。私も行ってみたいな。そろそろうちに帰りましょう。父さんと母さんが心配するわ。いつかきっと私も絶対。フィリスちゃん、帰るわよ。わかった。
Okay, so
よし。
just like that, we're still, learning about the conditions of the world. Firis wants to go outside. Fair enough too. I'd want to too if I lived in a town this kind of drab. But now we need to head on home. The laundry always takes forever to dry. I would imagine that would be the case if you lived in a big mine. It would probably be a pain to try and wash the clothes. Just imagine the mold problems they must have. Sorry, just following the map to where the town is, where the house is. Should be down here. Collecting bits and pieces as we go, because you'll never know when you'll need that stuff. Can break the boxes, of course, and that gives me a different type of material. So if you haven't played an Atelier game before, collecting a lot of different materials is the way to go, because as you'll see soon enough, you actually then alchemize them into items that are useful whether that's items that help you with the exploration and combat, or items that you need to resolve quests that are given to you by other characters. Grab some mushrooms, and yeah, the alchemy. So the item collecting, the resource collecting, and then the alchemy process is very core to the games. That's why they're called Atelier. So yeah, you've definitely got to make sure that you're collecting as much resources as you can as you play. Now where's this house? It's this way, isn't it? Yeah, it's up here. Firis's home. No, wait, that's not it. This is the pub. What was I sent in there? Anyway. Nobody's here for the drinking hour yet. I went the wrong way all along. It has been a while since I played Firis, so I don't have muscle memory where her house is in this underground city. What's up there? That's the inn. It's a very dull place. There we go.
おかえりフィリス。リアーレもお疲れ様。長老から話は聞いたよ。
帰ってくるんだったら連絡の一つでもよこしなさいよね。
ごめんなさい、母さん。
So there's the full happy family.
いいわ。私はご飯の支度をしてくるからのんびりしてなさい。
フィリス、今日もまたすごい成果だったらしいじゃないか。長老も喜んでたよ。フィリスはこの町の希望の星だって。
I think I do remember you actually. Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, I remember you using Half Deaf as your username. Yes, I do remember you. I promise I do. I remember some of the reviews. You reviewed. What's one of the reviews I remember? You did do a Game of Thrones strategy game from memory, way back. I think it would have been about 2011 or 2012 when that thing came out. So there you go. I actually do even remember one of your reviews. Why we have not had another Game of Thrones strategy game since is beyond me. That book series, let alone the TV series, would be perfect for it. But we just haven't. We haven't had a much effort to push Game of Thrones into video games, and it seems like a wasted opportunity, missed opportunity. But then again, given the quality of the Game of Thrones games that were produced, maybe it's for the best.
私こそ大したことはしてないわ。あれくらい誰だってできるもの。
いやー、リアーネも立派さ。二人ともできた娘で父さんは嬉しいよ。
いいよね、リア姉は。だってお仕事でお外に出られるんだもん。私もお外行ってみたいな。
ダメよ。外に出たいなんて絶対ダメ。魔物も出るし、危ない場所だってたくさんあるのよ。外に行ったところですぐに泣いて帰ってくるのがオチなんだから。
でもリア姉だって。
リアーネはいいの。あんたとは体の丈夫さが違うんだから。ほら、あんたからも。
僕もそうだな。確かに外はフィリスが思ってるほど楽しい場所でもないような。
そういうこと。とにかく外に出るなんて絶対ダメ。わかったわね。よろしい。じゃあこの話は終わり。ほら、ご飯ができたから運ぶの手伝ってちょうだい。
So, overprotective parents, a standard thing for the coming of age genre.
日が落ち、月が沈み、あまたの星が流れても果てなく広がる大草原、どこまでも暗い迷いの森、朽ちた荒野に天をつく大樹、幾年月を要しても決して見果てぬ景色の数々、それらを見るべく風は今日も世界を巡る。旅人と共に青空の下で。
Yeah, the site has gone from strength to strength. I mean, since you were part of the team, we've found ourselves listed on Metacritic, so that's certainly helped us get the name of the site out there. And I guess we have developed that specialization in Japanese games simply because, firstly, I mean, I'm very much interested in Japanese games, but we tend to get a good response in terms of the way that we review them and the way that we look at games matches up well with Japanese games, and readers seem to appreciate that. So that's kind of been the way that the site's developed. And yeah, it's good. We're probably the biggest Japanese-focused game site in Australia now. I can't think of any other that would draw in bigger traffic. So it's a nice niche to occupy. It's been disappointing that the PlayStation 5 and Xbox One Series X or Xbox Series X or whatever it's called, they haven't had much for us right now. They've been very quiet on the actual Japanese games. Of all the PlayStation 5 stuff, and it was generally a pretty good show. There wasn't that much there for people who are fans of Japanese games. Just really the Demon Souls remake, which is I mean, it looks good. Don't get me wrong. I'm certainly keen to play Demon Souls again, but I've got questions about how they're updating that game for the new generation. We'll have to wait and see how it turns out, I guess. But yeah, I do love my Japanese games. They're all pretty and charming. Not always, but I like the tone of a lot of Japanese games, especially compared to where a lot of Western games go these days. Not that I don't play Western games, I just reviewed The Last of Us 2, but yeah. I spend too much time working on that website to do something that I don't enjoy, and I primarily do enjoy Japanese games. Yeah, and it makes sense that they want to focus the launch stuff on the Western market for both Sony and Microsoft, because that's where the real dollars come. The console market in Japan is stagnant. It's not, and you know, it's not doing huge numbers aside from the Nintendo Switch. But again, the Nintendo Switch is a portable console, which has always done better in Japan. Actual TV consoles, Japan hasn't been the major market for those for quite some time. So I don't begrudge Sony and Microsoft for focusing on what the Americans, Australians, Europeans will want to play, but it would be nice if those consoles and companies acknowledge that there are people in our markets that like Japanese games as well. I think that they haven't been too keen on supporting those fans of niche games. But that's not to say, I'm sure the PlayStation 5 will have plenty of Japanese games on it. It's not a concern I have. I just would like to start seeing some of it so I can get excited about the next generation as well.
まったくどこに出かけたのやら。あんたはどうするの？
Speaking of Japanese games, since we are talking about them, well, I'm playing one, but speaking of game releases and all that stuff, I'm still waiting for Persona 4 Golden to get its PC launch. It was meant to happen on the 13th. It is the 13th today in Australia. I don't know if that might be the 13th in America or whatever, but I'm so hoping that Persona 4 Golden gets a launch soon. I'd love to play it again. I mean, I've got my Vita, but I'd like to play it on a device that I still use daily. So having it on PC will be great. I'll definitely be streaming Persona 4 if it does come out tomorrow, like is strongly rumoured. There's a lot to talk about with that game in particular.
そうか。気をつけて行ってくるんだよ。
行ってきます。あ、そうだ。久しぶりにお空でも見に行こうっと。
Yes and no. I mean, the Japanese publishers do a lot of stuff to focus on the Japanese market, but it tends to be in spaces that we don't really think about or talk about so much here in the West. Like, for example, Sega does a lot for the Japanese market, but it's in mobile games, which a lot of which don't actually get released out the West. There are a lot of really great Sega mobile games that the Japanese people love because they're more partial to kind of premium mobile experiences that they pay for via gacha or whatever. Another one is Konami. Everybody loves to crap on Konami, but Konami does great business in pachinko machines, which are obviously big in Japan, and we don't have them out the West. So those publishers do focus on their domestic market. It's just in ways that doesn't necessarily export outside. When a publisher does create a game for a kind of global release, then yes, something like Final Fantasy VII, you tend to see a lot more effort put into making sure that it is also something that will resonate with Western audiences. Yeah, I mean, like you, as you said, you hadn't played Atelier games before in the past, but they are absolutely gorgeous in terms of their production values. They're very simple because they're generally produced on very low budgets indeed. Gust, which is a studio that is owned by Koei Tecmo, is the one that focuses on the Atelier games, but they tend to make them quite rapidly. For example, there were 3 Atelier games released last year alone, and because they make them quite rapidly, they don't tend to have the production standards of games that take longer to develop but have larger teams and have larger sales expectations. But what these games always have is incredible art direction, beautiful character design, really lovely use of color and the cell shading aesthetic and all of that stuff. They really do make sure that they nail that, which is I prefer good art direction over technical brilliance. I always think that a game is its most artistic when the focus is on the actual aesthetics rather than proving how technically brilliant you can be. So I would say that, I mean, they're not really comparable, of course, but a game like Atelier is more my sense of aesthetics than a game like The Last of Us, even though The Last of Us is obviously a much more lavish, expensive production with much more technically brilliant visual design. So anyway, after all of that, they have a night at home. The Firis family, can't remember the last name, Firis' family, they have a night at home. The sister goes back outside again to do her job, and Firis decides to go and look at the sky, whatever that means, but we'll see in a second. Because she really is upset that she can't go outside. She really wants out of this town to see the world, and the overprotective parents are not giving her the chance, so she's feeling a little bit closed in right now. The gameplay doesn't change too much from one atelier to the next, although they do try different things in terms of how alchemy works and the general flow. For example, this one, Atelier Firis, actually has a kind of open world approach to its design, which we will see once we actually get out of the town. It also has a real-time clock, whereas other Atelier games don't have real-time clocks. And there are small variations in the alchemy as well. Gust tends to be very experimental with all of those kind of minor things. The basic flow of the games remains the same, but the other thing that really changes is each Atelier game has very different characters, and that, for a character-driven JRPG series as Atelier is, that means that every single one does feel very fresh and very different. So people have their favourites, definitely have their favourites in the series, and definitely feel like their favourite is substantially different to some of the others that they'll play. So, for example, Atelier Firis is one of my favourites, close to my very favourite in the series, and 90% of the reason for that is I really like the character of Firis and her story, so that's really where the point of difference comes between games in this series. Here we go, we're about to see the sky. See, there's this gap in the cave where you can stare outside and dream about what it must be like to be outside.
あら、なんだか沈んでる子がいるわね。せっかくの可愛い顔が台無しよ。リオネ、どうしたの？落ち込んでる妹を慰めに来ました。私、わかんないんだ。どうして二人があんなに反対するのか。お外には魔物が出るってことも、危ない場所がたくさんあるってことも分かってる。魔物が出たらやられちゃうかもしれないし、どこかで怪我しちゃうかもしれない。もうどうしてもお外に行ってみたいんだもん。お父さんとお母さんも分からずよ。あのね、フィリスちゃん、父さんと母さんはきっと。イライラする。フィリスちゃん、ちょっと扉を見に行ってくる。リオネーは先に帰っててね。
Okay, so that was just Firis being very frustrated. Again, easy to empathise on why. Collect some mushrooms here. That must be pretty much all they live on, mushrooms. Other than what the sister can hunt out in terms of rabbits and whatever outside the world, but yeah, the staples of living in a place like this must be pretty horrible. Not a mushroom fan, personally. Never got the appeal of eating fungus, but yeah. I empathise with Firis. Now, where was that door? Is it that one? Must be it that way, I think. There's the door. So she's off to see the door again because she wants it out. So this character here is Sophie. If you haven't played the Atelier games, then you won't recognize Sophie. But if you had played the previous one, then she'll be instantly recognizable, of course, because she was the protagonist of the previous Atelier game. Gust tend to work in trilogies. So Firis is the second of the particular trilogy that this series, and Sophie was the protagonist of the first, so she makes a return. Each of the games are kind of self-contained. Well, they are basically self-contained, that they are original stories and you can play them without having played the previous ones. But if you had played the previous ones, then you'll appreciate the appearance of certain characters more, like Sophie here. So Sophie's an alchemist, and as we'll see soon enough, she decides to take Firis under her wing and teach Firis how to do the alchemy thing as well. The door was blown away, but now it's back. Such is the power of alchemy.
すみません、いろいろ急すぎて。 より見せた方が早いかな。ねえフィリスちゃん、この近くにテントを張れそうな場所ってある？テントですか？うちの近くの空き地なら多分。本当？悪いんだけどそこまで案内してもらえるかな？はい、構いませんよ。すみません。それではよろしくお願いします。びっくりしたけど悪い人たちじゃないみたい。でもあの扉を簡単に壊しちゃうなんて、あれが錬金術。それを確かめるためにも2人を空き地まで連れて行かないと。ねえフィリスちゃんってここの人なんだよね？はい、合ってますよ。よかった。確かいろんな鉱石が取れる町なんだよね？そうなんです。実は私も鉱石拾いがお仕事だったり。鉱石拾い？はい、そんなことをしてるの私だけなんですけど、他の人はちゃんとツルハシで掘ってますし。あれ、そうなんだ。ツルハシを使わない理由でもあるの？いらないからです。掘らなくても鉱石がある場所がわかるから。わかる？私、鉱石の場所が聞こえるんです。鉱石がここにいるよって言ってる感じっていうか。クラフト、それって。ええ、おそらくは。ごめんなさい、変なこと言っちゃって。変なんかじゃないよ。それはきっとフィリスちゃんの才能だから。ソフィーの言う通りです。その稀有な才能、ぜひ。はい才能か。
Okay, so after that lengthy introduction to Sophie as a bit of an eccentric character, but we also get a bit more of a sense of, Firis's ability being a genuine talent, and they hit it off immediately. They're going to be good buds. So we need to guide them back to Firis's house, where there's a place that they can set up a tent, which is code for alchemy, alchemy spot.
そういえばお二人ってお外から来たんですよね。そうだよ。ヒルヘンベルっていうところから来たの。教会があって緑がたくさんあって町の人たちも優しくて、あまり大きくはありませんが落ち着いた、とても住みやすい町ですね。他にもお外のお話聞かせてもらえませんか？私、お外のことに興味があるんです。お外のことに？へえ、そうなんだ。ならどんな話がいいかな。ソフィー、先にテントを張ってしまいませんか？おそらくそちらの方が落ち着いて話せると思いますが。ああ、そうだね。そうしようか。フィリスちゃんもそれでいいかな。はい、じゃあ 地まで急いで案内しますね。これくらいあれば大丈夫そう。本当ですか？よかったです。ありがとね、フィリスちゃん。じゃあパパッと貼っちゃうから。よいしょっと。ここをこうしてこうすれば出来上がり。
Bam, a tent.
さあ
Little
入っ
tent.
てきっと驚くと
Or
思う
is
か
it?
ら。
We're about to find out.
驚く。
So it does look very tiny, doesn't it? But we jump in there, and once again, the power of alchemy
お邪魔し
shows
ます。
itself. Because this is a very roomy tent inside indeed. I wish I had this tent. This would be great. I'd go camping all the time if I could set up a tent like
私
this.
テントに入ったよね。なのにこんなに広いなんてどういうこと？ふふん、これも錬金術の力だよ。改めましてようこそ私たちのアトリエへ。アトリエ？はい、錬金術師の仕事場のことです。それで錬金術っていうのは今からやってみるからちょっと見ててね。材料はこれとこれ。粉の温度に気をつけながらゆっくり丁寧にかき混ぜれば。
Oh, that's a relief. That's scary. I had a moment with my laptop as well the other day. It's actually quite a new laptop. I only bought it 3 or 4 months ago, which is why I've been able to do these streams and stuff, because the laptop is now powerful enough to do all the video stuff. Anyway, I bought it and I plugged it in and the battery wasn't charging. I'd let it run out completely, and in trying to charge it again it just wouldn't. So every time I unplugged the power cord, the laptop stopped working, and that's obviously not what you want with a laptop. You want it to be able to work while you're out and about as well, and I really need it for that. So I had a big panic moment a couple of days ago with my laptop as well. Technology is horrible. I hate technology.
はい、道具の出来上がり。今何が？これが錬金術だよ。あるものをもとに全く別のものを作り出す。私たちの錬金術はそのような力なのです。錬金術のおかげでいろんなものが作れるんだ。このテントもさっき扉を直したのもそう。どうかな？分かってもらえた？
Yeah, yep, totally agree with you. Although laptops in general, computers in general, all of these things we rely on way too much for how easily they just stop working.
扉を壊したり直したりかと思ったら釜の中から物を取り出してみたり。本当に夢でも見てるみたい。
So right now Firis has been introduced to the magic that is alchemy, and she's pretty amazed by it. It can blow up doors, it can make tents that are infinitely spacious inside, even though they're tiny on the outside. And yeah, just throw a couple of ingredients in and out pops something different. So she's pretty impressed.
でしょう。ソフィーさん、もう一回見せてください。随分とお気に召したようですね。そうだね。そんなに気に入ったなら、フィリスちゃん、錬金術やってみない？私がですか？そう、多分フィリスちゃんには錬金術の才能があると思うんだ。それにきっと見てるより自分でやった方。ええ、その通りです。遠慮などはいりませんよ。はい、それならやってみたいです。決まりだね。フィリスちゃん、やり方を教えるからこっちまで来てくれるかな。わかりました。
So, after all of that,
新しい道具作れるようになったよ。
we are about to play around with alchemy for the first time. We've got a recipe and we've been told we should give it a go. And this is where the game really kind of starts in full, really. This is the moment that the main mechanic of the game gets shown off, and we're going to make it... It's obviously a very simple recipe that we're going to be creating, but it'll give you a sense of what's actually involved with alchemy.
まずはね、何を作ろうかな。
So at the moment we can only make a no doc, which is just that. So we select that. Then we need to pick something to use as the ingredients to create this thing. So we need to pick 2 plants. So let's go through, let's grab that one. And that one. Then we need 1 paper. So let's do that. 1 paper. And then 2 water. So there we go. Once you've got all those ingredients together, you start to synthesize. And bam, we've created a no doc. Not a bad first effort at alchemy, if I do say so myself.
おめでとう。いきなり成功するなんてすごいよ。ええ、ソフィーなど最初は何も作れなかったというのに。一応少しは作れたし、昔の話なんだからいいでしょ。まあ何はともあれ、やはりフィリスには錬金術の才能があるようです。そうですか。でも錬金術ってとっても楽しいんですね。材料をバーって入れてくるくるって混ぜたらドーンってできちゃうんですから。ソフィー、どうしましょう。何を言っているのか理解できません。それだけ楽しかったってことだ ちゃんは本当にすごいよ。この調子で頑張れば公認試験にだって合格できちゃうかもね。公認試験？はい、1年に一度開かれる錬金術師の実力を測るための試験です。合格すると優秀な錬金術師だって認めてもらえるんだ。実は私も来年の試験を受けようと思ってて。なるほど、それで旅をしてるんですね。そういうこと。まあそれはいっか。フィリスちゃん、どうかな。錬金術のことを分かってもらえた？はい、よーくわかりました。そっか、それならよかった。今のって時間を知らせる鐘なんです。この街、お空がほとんど見えないから。そういうことでしたか。もう夜なんだ。そろそろ。ねえフィリスちゃん、私たちしばらくこの町にいるつもりだからさ、もしよかったらまた遊びに来てよ。いつで。いいんですか？もちろんね、クラフタ。ええ、いつでも歓迎します。やった！私絶対また来ますね。うん、じゃあ気をつけて帰ってね。それではまたお待ちしていますよ。ただいまー。おかえりなさい。急に走って行っちゃうから心配してたのよ。ごめんね。
嬉しそうだね。何かいいことでもあったのかい？
ないしょ。
変な子ね。まあいいわ、ご飯できてるから食べちゃいなさい。おはよう。ぐっすり寝られたみたいね。
あれ、お母さんだけ？
お父さんもリアーネももうとっくに出かけちゃったわよ。
そっか、私もどこか行ってこようかな。
いいけど晩ご飯までには帰ってくるのよ。
はーい。そういえばソフィーさんたちにお外のこと聞きそびれちゃった。また錬金術もやってみたいし、今日も2人のアトリエに行ってみよう。あれ、人が集まってる。さあ次に紹介するのはこの爆弾。持ち運びが便利で威力もお手頃。ちょっとした魔物退治にも邪魔な岩の葉っぱにも役立つこと間違いなし。
へえ、あれさえあれば 野良プニが出た時も楽そうだな。
そして最後はとっておき、こちら全自動ツルハシ。勝手に地面を掘ってくれるから硬い岩盤も楽々掘り進めちゃうんです。
おお、それはすごい。
そうじゃのう。ぜひ欲しいの。
ソフィーさん、何やってるんだろう。ちょろとというわけで、薬に爆弾、日用品まで困ったことがあれば何でも私に言ってください。錬金術でパパッと作っちゃいますから。すごいのね、錬金術って。何でも作れちゃうなんて。
ああ、大したもんだ。今度俺も何か作ってもらうかな。
へえ、錬金術ってお薬とか爆弾まで作れるんだ。本当に何でも作れそうな。お薬と爆弾が作れる。お薬が作れれば怪我を治せるし、爆弾が作れれば魔物も倒せる。ひょっとして錬金術さえあればお外でもやっていける。よし、ちょっとソフィーさんに相談してみよう。お邪魔します。あ、いらっしゃい。どうしたの？なんか急いでるみたいだけど。ソフィーさん、私を弟子にしてください。ソフィーの弟子に？話が見えません。細かいことはともかく、ソフィーさんに錬金術を教えてもらいたいんです。事情はわかりませんが、熱意はあるようですね。うん、そうだね。弟子か。私は構わないんだけど。フィリスちゃんは私なんかが先生でいいの？はい、もう全然、むしろ望むところです。良いのではないですか。本人もこう言っていますし。じゃあ一つだけ。
That would be the streaming settings that I've got on my PlayStation 4, I think. Actually, I might not have set it to 1080. So yeah, that's possibly why it's been kept. I'll have to remember to put it up to 1080 for the next time. Sorry about that.
教える前にご両親の許可を取ってくること。錬金術って失敗すると危ないからさ。そうですね。爆発して怪我をする恐れもありますし、それが良いかと。お父さんとお母さんの許可。言いにくいんだったら私も行くよ。せっかくだから挨拶しておきたいし。本当ですか？お願いしようかな。それじゃあ行こう。お父さん、お母さん。
おかえり。早かったのね。そちらの方は？
お邪魔します。私ソフィーって言います。
あなたは先ほどの錬金術師の方。ようこそいらっしゃいました。
錬金術師？
でもただの錬金術師じゃないんだよ。今日から私の先生になってくれるの。
話が見えないわ。どういうことなの？
私、錬金術師になる。
Hi, Patty. Welcome to the stream. And yeah, good to see you here and hope you've been well. No, these are not actually Mel Kishida. He did not do these. The only Atelier that Mel has worked on has been the Arland series. So that's Rorona, Totori, Naruru, and Lulua from last year. So yeah, this is a different artist. They tend to use different artists for each trilogy. So the Dusk series has a different artist. This trilogy has a different artist. But also very good. It would be good to see Mel do more Atelier or just a Blue Reflection too. But yeah, I certainly I actually don't know what the name of the artist for this series is, but I do like their work.
錬金術があれば私もお外で暮らしていけるはず。だから錬金術師になってお外に行きたいの。ねえ、許してくれるよね。私錬金術を始めてもいいよね。お外に出てもいいよね。
ダメよ。何度も言ってるでしょ。外はあんたが思ってるよりよっぽど危ないところ。
So here's the mum being overprotective
何
again.
を夢見ているか知らないけど、
Very frustrating.
大人だって命を落とすことがある場所な
These
のよ。
damn parents.
そんなところに行ってごらんなさい。あっという間に魔物の餌よ。
それは分かってる。だから錬金術を練習するの。錬金術があれば怪我しても自分で治せるし、魔物だって倒せる。お外でもやっていける。
ちょっとかじったぐらいの錬金術が本当に役に立つのかしら。
これから精一杯練習するから。私錬金術の才能あるって褒められたんだよ。教えてもらって道具だって作れたんだから。だからお願い、お母さん。私どうしてもお外に行ってみたいの。あの扉の先を見てみたいの。
ソフィーさんと言ったかしら。ごめんなさい。娘が迷惑かけたわね。娘には私から言い聞かせておくので申し訳ないんですけど、お引き取りを。
どうして分かってくれないの。
フィリス、
お外に出たいって思うのはそんなにダメなことなの。扉の先でお空を見てみたいって思うのはそんなに許されないことなの。私だって好きでこんな街に生まれたわけじゃない。こんな薄暗い街なんて大嫌い。お父さんもお母さんも大嫌い。
Yeah, it is very good. In fact, the general introduction to Firis is really good in doing that, setting up that that coming of age story. I think that she comes across as a very kind of down to earth character, and I found Firis immediately appealing from this introduction scene. Once you get outside, things change a bit, and it becomes a more typical Atelier title. But this kind of closed off section to start things off, which is really more for narrative purpose than anything else, is really good stuff. Very, very well done. I'm still waiting for the Switch port of this game. I'm still waiting. I'm sure at some stage Gust will, because they can't help themselves. They'll put all three of the mysterious games on the Switch. I mean, not the last one's already there, but Sophie and Firis need to come, and I'm sure they will at some stage. For now, you can only play it on PC or PlayStation 4.
一度もこの扉から出たことないんです。生まれてからずっと街の中。どんなにお外に行きたいって思っても、この扉は私のためには開かなかった。ソフィーさんはそ 教えてくれた。私思ったんです。錬金術があればお外に出られるかもって。私はお外に行ってみたい。お外に出てこの目でいろいろなものを見てみたい。この扉の先にあるお空の下を自分の足で旅してみたいんです。だからお願いです、ソフィーさん。私に錬金術を教えてください。それが私の夢を叶えるのに必要なことだから。ごめんね、私フィリスちゃんのこと全然分かってなかった。お外のこともご両親のこともこれまでいっぱい考えていっぱい悩んできたんだよね。ねえフィリスちゃん、私と一緒にさ、夢叶えよう。私ができることなら何だってする。錬金術も教えられることは何でも教える。だから一緒にあの扉の先を見に行こうよね。はいはい、それじゃあ改めてよろしくね、フィリスちゃん。はい。うん、じゃあ一回アトリエに戻ろうか。これからのことを考えないとね。そうですね、わかりました。
Okay, so that was a very long scene, but an important one because need to
おお、
set up the conditions with which Firis decides to become an alchemist and gets Sophie to agree with her, and so on and so on. It's quite a. We are actually now starting to get close to the point where the game starts in full, and we actually get a chance to go outside. That's coming soon enough. It's a relatively lengthy introduction by Atelier standards, actually, this one. Usually they try to get in and get you going pretty quickly. This game took a lot of time to really set up the world, the characters, and the structure of the game.
まったく心配させろってからに。
リアネ、長老、どうして。
どうしても何も、お前の声は街中に響いておったわい。お前の気持ちは分かった。これまで我慢をさせていたようじゃな。ニコラとルーカスには話をつけておいた。お前の旅立ちを許すようにとな。
本当ですか。
ただニコラも意地になっているようでの、無条件でというわけにはいかんかった。
条件付きってことですか。
うん、外に出ても問題ないくらいの錬金術を身につけることだそうじゃ。
外が危ないっていうのは嘘じゃないわ。母さんもフィリスちゃんのことが心配なのよ。
そこでわしは思いついた。わかりやすく課題形式にしてはどうじゃろうとな。つまり 錬金術で町の困りごとをいくつか解決することじゃ。一定の期限内にそれができれば旅立ちを許す。できなければ外に出るのは諦めてもらう。どうじゃ、単純じゃろ。
わかりました。それでお願いします。
心得た。
いろいろありがとうございます、長老。
まあわしは特に何にもしとらんがのリアーネ。まあとにかくそういうことじゃ。頑張るんじゃぞフィリス。
いやね、お母さんに話をつけてくれたんだ。ありがとう。さて、とりあえずはご両親にも分かってもらえたってことなのかな。そうみたいです。けど錬金術で困りごと、大丈夫、自信を持って。私が手取り足取り教えるからさ。よし、そうとなったらアトリエに戻ろう。待って、置いていかないでください。おかえりなさい。随分と遅かったようですが。実はいろいろあって。ね、なるほど、事情はわかりました。はい、それで私、お家に帰りづらくて。あ、そうだよね。どうしよっか。ここで寝泊まりすればよいのでは。幸いここは広いですし。あ、確かに。フィリスちゃんはどう？ソフィーさんたちが良ければぜひ。じゃあ決まり。今日は疲れただろうから、また明日から頑張ろうね。今日はゆっくりおやすみなさい。ベッドはこちらを。よーし、今日から錬金術の練習始めるよ。当面の目標は町の人の困りごとを解決できるようになることでしょうか。だね。目標を目指して頑張っていこうね。はい、よろしくお願いします、ソフィーさん。ソフィー先生。あ、笑ったな。別におかしくないでしょ。そうですね。すみません、ソフィー先生。なんだかバカにされてる気がするけど、まあいいや。じゃあ早速調合やってみよう。はい。
Okay, so after all of that, now we have Firis has agreed to, well, everybody's agreed to allow Firis to become a alchemist. So she's going to start training with Sophie. Sophie's going to teach her all that she needs to know, and then hopefully, Firis is going to learn enough that she's going to be allowed to leave the town and go and explore the grand world, and hopefully down the track become a certified master alchemist. That's the end goal. So from the last hour and a half of play, we've been introduced to all the major characters. We've been given the goal. As you'll notice, that there's, like many Atelier games, the goal is not so much to defeat a great evil or deal with some epic plot. It's kind of a more personal and wholesome goal. The Atelier games tend to be much brighter, I guess, in that respect, which is another reason I love them so much. So many RPGs, including JRPGs, try to do the whole epic plot thing, that having something which has a more kind of light-hearted goal and is less kind of intense in terms of the global implications of what you're doing, that's a nice change of pace as well. We're probably going to, I mean, this is a good spot to finish up the first stream of Firis. It's actually run a bit longer than I usually run the streams anyway. So we'll take a break here. We'll come back and play a bit more next week, where we'll hopefully get enough done that we actually get to leave town. That would be a nice mini goal within the span of the streams. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. I hope it was enjoyable. If you haven't seen Firis before, hopefully this encourages you to give it a look yourself. And yeah, enjoy the weekend of gaming, and we'll be back tomorrow with another stream. Not quite sure what we'll play at this stage. We'll figure it out on the fly. But if I don't see you there, I hope you have a great weekend.